Right now, at this very moment, a massive weather system is forming that will affect over 200 million Americans in the next 7 days. Are you prepared for what's coming? Here's what nobody's telling you. Within the next 72 hours, 3 separate storm systems will collide across our nation, creating conditions we haven't seen in over a decade. And by Thursday, temperatures will swing 40 degrees in less than 24 hours in some areas. But here's the reward for staying with me. At exactly 3 minutes and 20 seconds into this report, I'll reveal which states face the highest risk and the exact timeline you need to protect your family and property. The question everyone's asking is this: why is this winter behaving so differently? The answer lies in what meteorologists call a jet stream flip, and it's happening right now as we speak. Let me paint you the picture. Currently, Arctic air is pouring down from the northwest, keeping temperatures 15 to 20 degrees below normal across the Great Lakes and Midwest. But here's the twist. Within just 48 hours, a massive high-pressure ridge will build across the southern plains. What does that mean for you? Temperatures will soar 30 to 35 degrees above average by Wednesday. We're talking 70-degree weather in January across Iowa, Missouri, and Illinois. That's not just unusual, that's unprecedented for this time of year. But God's creation has a way of balancing extremes. Where there's warmth, cold must follow. Where there's calm, storms will rise. And what we're witnessing is nature's grand design playing out on a continental scale. Here's the critical part. This warm air isn't just bringing pleasant weather, it's fuel. Think of it as gasoline being poured into an engine. When this warm, moisture-laden air from the Gulf of Mexico collides with the cold Canadian air mass, we get what scientists call explosive cyclogenesis. In plain English? Major storms, big ones. The first threat hits today. Right now, severe thunderstorms are developing across the southeast, with tornado potential from northern Florida through Georgia and into Alabama. The Storm Prediction Center has issued a marginal risk advisory affecting over 12 million people. Timing is everything here. Between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. Eastern Time today, conditions are most favorable for isolated tornadoes, particularly near Tallahassee and the surrounding region. If you're in this area, have multiple ways to receive weather alerts. But wait, there's more happening simultaneously. The West Coast is getting hammered. A powerful Pacific storm is bringing excessive rainfall to California, with some areas expecting 4 to 6 inches in just 12 hours. That's enough to cause flash flooding and mudslides, especially in areas scarred by recent wildfires. Now here's where it gets interesting. And this is that crucial information I promised you at 3:20. By Sunday, a sneaky weather system forms over Minnesota. I call it sneaky because it develops quickly, giving people less time to prepare. This storm brings a dangerous combination of heavy snow, sleet, and freezing rain across the upper Midwest. Minneapolis, Milwaukee, and potentially Chicago will see ice accumulation Sunday afternoon. We're talking about a glaze of ice covering roads, power lines, and trees between noon and 8 p.m. Even 1/10 of an inch of ice can make roads absolutely treacherous. But that's just the opening act. The main event arrives Thursday. Remember that Pacific moisture I mentioned? By Wednesday, it crosses the Rocky Mountains. Computer models show a large, low-pressure system developing over Kansas by Thursday morning. This system has all the ingredients for a major winter storm. Here's what the models are showing right now. Blizzard conditions are possible across parts of the northern plains and Midwest. We could see snowfall rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour with winds gusting over 50 miles per hour. That creates whiteout conditions where you can't see 5 feet in front of your vehicle. At the same time, the southern edge of this storm could spawn severe thunderstorms from Texas through the Ohio Valley. We're potentially looking at damaging winds over 75 miles per hour, large hail up to golf ball size, and yes, tornadoes. The storm is so large that it could affect weather from the Rockies to the Atlantic coast simultaneously. Over 150 million Americans could experience some impact from this single weather system. Now, you might be wondering, is this normal? Is this part of God's plan, or is something changing? Here's the truth. January can be volatile, but what makes this pattern unusual is the extreme temperature contrast. We're seeing temperature swings that typically happen over weeks compressed into just days. In the scriptures, we're reminded that God controls the winds and the waves. He sends the snow and commands the ice. But we're also given wisdom to prepare and protect what He's entrusted to us. So what should you do right now? Here's your step-by-step action plan. First, if you're in the southeast today, monitor local weather closely through 6 p.m. Have a safe room identified on the lowest floor of your home, away from windows. Make sure your phone is charged and alerts are enabled. Second, for those in the upper Midwest, Sunday is your concern day. Before Sunday morning, stock up on essentials. Fill your gas tank. Ice storms can cause power outages lasting days. Have flashlights, batteries, and non-perishable food ready. Third, everyone from the Rockies to the East Coast needs to watch Wednesday and Thursday closely. This is when the major storm develops. Don't wait until Wednesday to prepare. Act now, this weekend. Stock up on medications you need. Get groceries before the rush. If you have elderly neighbors or family members, check on them. Make sure they have what they need. Here's something most people don't consider. When temperatures swing wildly like they will this week, it stresses everything. Pipes can burst when it warms up suddenly after a deep freeze. Roads develop potholes. Your car battery that was fine yesterday might fail tomorrow. But here's the good news, and don't miss this part. After this active period, which runs through next weekend, conditions should calm down. The pattern stabilizes somewhat as we head into mid-January. However, and this is important, long-range models suggest another significant cold outbreak could arrive between January 15th and January 22nd. We're potentially looking at another Arctic blast during that time frame. Now let me give you the temperature story, because it's remarkable. Today, temperatures are running 10 to 15 degrees below normal across much of the eastern United States. Many areas are in the 30s and 40s where they'd normally be in the 50s. But by Monday and Tuesday, watch what happens. The Great Plains will be 20 to 30 degrees above average. We're talking about 60s and 70s in places that should be in the 30s. Then Wednesday and Thursday, it gets even more extreme. Nearly the entire country will be above average. Some areas in the Midwest could see temperatures 35 degrees above normal. That means potential record-breaking warmth. We could see highs in the upper 60s, even low 70s, in places like Indianapolis, Columbus, and Detroit. Think about that for a moment. 70-degree weather in Michigan in early January. That's the kind of warmth you'd expect in April, not winter. This warmth isn't just unusual, it's fuel for storms. Meteorologists call this available energy. The warmer and more humid the air, the more energy available for storms to tap into. And when you combine this Gulf moisture with cold air plunging down from Canada, you create what's called a baroclinic zone. That's a fancy term for a battle zone between air masses. And that battle zone is where big storms are born. Here's what's fascinating from a scientific perspective. The jet stream, those upper-level winds that steer our weather, is going to completely reconfigure over the next week. Right now, it's angled from northwest to southeast, bringing cold air down. But by early next week, a massive ridge builds in the south, while a deep trough digs in along the west coast. This pattern flip is what meteorologists call an omega block or a Rex block, depending on the exact configuration. What you need to know is this creates very persistent weather patterns. Once established, they can last days or even weeks. The implications are significant. This pattern favors repeated storm systems moving from the Rockies into the plains and Midwest. Each system taps into moisture from the Gulf, and each has the potential for significant impacts. We've already seen one tornado this year. It happened just 12 hours into 2026, near 3 Points, Arizona on January 1st. That might seem early, but it's actually not unprecedented. The concern is that with the pattern we're entering, we could see more. Tornado season doesn't really have a season anymore in the traditional sense. We can get tornadoes any month of the year, especially in the South. Now, here's a critical safety point I need to emphasize. If you live in a tornado-prone area, you need multiple ways to receive warnings. Your phone is one way, but what if the power's out or cell towers are down? A weather radio is essential. They're inexpensive, around $20 to $30, and they can save your life. Know your safe place. Lowest floor, interior room, away from windows. If you're in a mobile home, identify a nearby sturdy building you can get to quickly. Have a plan for your pets. Have supplies ready, a flashlight, shoes, important documents in a grab-and-go bag. These preparations aren't fear-mongering, they're wisdom. As it says in Proverbs, The prudent see danger and take refuge, but the simple keep going and pay the penalty. God gives us the intelligence and resources to prepare. Using them honors his gifts. Now, let's talk about the ice threat Sunday, because this is serious. Ice storms are among the most dangerous winter weather events. A quarter-inch of ice can snap tree branches and power lines. Half an inch can bring down trees and cause widespread, extended power outages. The area most at risk Sunday runs from Minneapolis through central Wisconsin and potentially into northern Illinois. The timing is Sunday afternoon through evening. What makes this tricky is temperatures will be right at freezing. Above 32 degrees, you get rain. Below 32, you get snow. Right at 32? You get ice. The forecast models show temperatures hovering right around that freezing mark for hours. That's the worst-case scenario for ice accumulation. If you're in this zone, here's what you need to do before Sunday. Charge all devices fully. Have backup batteries or power banks ready. Fill bathtubs with water in case you lose water pressure. You can use it for flushing toilets. Stock up on non-perishable food that doesn't require cooking. Have a camping stove or other alternative cooking method if possible, but never use it indoors due to carbon monoxide risk. Locate your manual can opener. Sounds silly, but if the power's out and you only have electric, you'll wish you'd thought of it. Most importantly, stay off the roads if possible once ice starts accumulating. Ice-covered roads are incredibly dangerous. Four-wheel drive doesn't help on ice, nothing gets traction. Every winter, we see accidents and fatalities from people who thought they could handle icy roads. Please, if you don't absolutely have to travel, don't. Now, the really big storm Thursday is still several days away, which means details will change. But here's what we know with reasonable confidence. A major storm system will impact the central United States Thursday into Friday. The exact track will determine who gets what, but significant impacts are likely. Areas north of the storm track could see heavy snow and blizzard conditions. We're potentially talking about snowfall totals of 6 to 12 inches, possibly more in some areas. Areas south of the track could see severe thunderstorms. This could include damaging winds, large hail, and tornadoes. Everyone will see strong winds. Gusts of 40 to 60 miles per hour are possible across a wide area. That's strong enough to cause damage even without storms. The challenge right now is that forecast models don't agree on the exact track. A shift of just 100 miles north or south makes a huge difference in who sees what. This is why you need to stay updated. Check forecasts at least twice daily starting Monday. Sign up for local weather alerts. Follow trusted local meteorologists. By Monday or Tuesday, we'll have much better clarity on exactly where this storm goes and what impacts to expect. That's when you finalize your preparations. Here's something to understand about these big storms. They're not evil, they're not punishment. They're part of how our planet regulates temperature and distributes moisture. Without storms, we wouldn't have the rain that grows our crops. Without winter, we wouldn't have the snowpack that fills our reservoirs and rivers. As Job reminds us, God loads the thick cloud with moisture. The clouds scatter his lightning. They turn around and around by his guidance, to accomplish all that he commands them on the face of the habitable world. The same God who designed the water cycle and atmospheric physics is the God who cares about each sparrow that falls. He knows your needs, your concerns, your fears about the weather ahead. But faith doesn't mean being passive. Faith means trusting God while also using the wisdom and resources he provides. So here's your homework before we wrap up. Today and tomorrow, prepare for near-term threats. That's the Southeast severe weather today and the Midwest ice threat Sunday. This weekend, prepare for the big storm Thursday. Stock up on essentials, fuel up vehicles, check emergency supplies. Monday through Wednesday, stay updated constantly. Forecasts will get more specific. You'll know exactly what to prepare for in your area. And through all of it, check on your neighbors, especially the elderly and those living alone. Community matters, especially in challenging times. One more critical point about the temperature swings. When it warms up dramatically after being very cold, there are hidden dangers. Frozen ground suddenly thaws, which can cause flooding even without precipitation. Snowpack melts rapidly, overwhelming drainage systems. Your vehicle is stressed by rapid temperature changes. Check tire pressure. It fluctuates with temperature. Make sure your antifreeze is adequate, not just for cold but for the warm-up too. Home foundations can shift slightly with rapid freeze-thaw cycles. Watch for new cracks, sticky doors, or windows. These aren't major disasters, but they're the little things that catch people off guard. Now, you're probably wondering, when will winter return to normal? The honest answer is, we don't know exactly. The pattern we're in now runs through next weekend. Then there's a brief calm period. But that potential Arctic outbreak I mentioned earlier, between January 15th and 22nd, could bring temperatures crashing down again. Long-range forecasting is challenging, but the signals are there for another significant cold snap during that time frame. We're watching it closely. What's clear is that this winter is volatile. We're seeing big swings rather than steady, consistent, cold. That's partly due to larger climate patterns like the state of the polar vortex and sea surface temperatures. But for your day-to-day life, what matters is being prepared for whatever comes. Let me give you one final thought as we close out. Weather has always been unpredictable to some degree, but we have tools and knowledge our ancestors never had. We can see storms coming days in advance. We have warning systems that give us precious minutes to take shelter. These are blessings, truly. Use them. Don't let weather forecasts become background noise. When meteorologists issue warnings, they're based on real data and real risks. Take them seriously without panicking. Prepare thoughtfully without hoarding. Help others without putting yourself at risk. And remember, we've weathered storms before, we'll weather these too. Communities come together, families help each other, and we get through it. Here's what I need you to do right now, before you click away. Check your weather alerts are enabled on your phone. Go to Settings, Notifications, and make sure emergency alerts are on. Share this information with someone who might not hear it otherwise. An elderly parent, a busy friend, a neighbor who might not follow weather closely. Make one preparation today. Just one. Buy batteries, fill your gas tank, check your flashlight. One action today makes tomorrow easier. And finally, keep watching. The weather story isn't over. That big Thursday storm needs your attention starting Monday. I'll have more detailed information as it becomes available. The situation will evolve, forecasts will be refined, and you need the latest information to stay safe. Until then, stay weather aware, stay prepared, and may God bless you and keep you safe through whatever weather comes our way. The best part? After this active period passes, you'll have the knowledge and supplies ready for whatever winter throws at us next. And that peace of mind is priceless.